That's for you. It's a free gift. It says contradict, but it's real cute and uses all these different symbols of different world religions, etc.
It does.
Yeah, talking about how how it's impossible that all of them could be true. I mean, I don't know if you believe this, but I mean, it's popular these days to think that like every religion, leads to God or whatever. And so that's just kind of a brief primer to thinking about how it's not true.
Oh, sweet corner preacher.
Yeah.
Corner preacher.
Unlike most though, because he's actually going to talk about how good Jesus is. Most of those guys who appear down Dale Hall, all they like to do is talk about how like all sorority girls are whores and they want to go straight to hell, etc. We're not like those guys.
Okay.
We preach the law of God, referring to how we've all sinned, how we've all broken God's law, and we stand guilty before God. So in that we have commonality with those guys. They get it half right and half wrong.
Okay.
The half wrong part is that they justify themselves. I don't know if you've ever talked to them. I've talked to them.
Yeah, a little bit.
Be like, hey, Brother Jed, haven't you sinned too? He'd be like, not in 20 years, brother. It's ridiculous. I mean, of course you've sinned. Of course. We've all sinned. And so which is laughable, how dumb those guys are, but the difference is that we don't justify ourselves. You ask him, you ask me, I've sinned many times today. I am not better than anybody out here. I'm just better off because Jesus is the sacrifice for sinners. The whole reason Jesus died on the cross was to give forgiveness for sinners because sin is that big a deal. And so that's what we're talking about.
Well, great. How long are you guys going to be out here?
They followed him.
I think he has about 20 minutes left. These three guys might stay out a little longer. I may be out here another 45 or an hour or something like that, depending. What's your spiritual position?
I'm Catholic.
You're Catholic? Okay. My name's Alan, by the way. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie, nice to meet you.
And the thing about Jesus,
are you like a cradle Catholic? Are you convert? Or?
Okay. And I love it. I'm so in love with my faith. And I'm so in love with Jesus.
Do you consider yourself like pretty pious then? Like you go to Mass often and such? Do you go down to St. Thomas More? Okay.
Sure.
Gotcha. May I ask you about do you think that when you die, is there a chance that you will go to purgatory?
I mean, probably. Yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I don't have a very good understanding of that doctrine, so I can't really argue, purgatory or whatever. And it's not, but it's very sketchy, scripturally, but it's based on tradition, and we think that's totally legitimate. So even if I argued it, I would be arguing based off tradition, which you wouldn't probably buy.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
But do you have a few minutes to talk about it?
I actually don't. I'm really sorry. I have two things due at 1:30.
Okay, I understand.
And so I really have to get up.
Well, let me give you just a real quick thing. The reason I asked you about purgatory, and I don't want to argue. I just want to put something in your ear to think about. Purgatory. If you think about it, the whole reason that somebody might go to purgatory is because they have venial sins on their record that are not fully, wiped from their records, as it were. Obviously not a mortal sin, in the Roman thinking, but like a venial sin, right? So some venial sins that you've not gotten done with penance or various other activities, or even indulgences, whatever. So you arrive at purgatory for purgation, right, of those things, and
to make yourself clean.
Exactly. So no unclean thing can enter heaven, right? Which is what it says in Revelation. No unclean thing will enter heaven. So that's suffering that you will have to undergo in purgatory.
If I die.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I meant. So, and if somebody, let's say Joe, Joe dies, has some venial sins on his record, goes to purgatory, right? There he suffers and burns off his sins are purged, his sins are cleaned off of him, right? Then he goes to heaven after an indeterminate period of time. That is, if you think about it, that is the equivalent of saying that in some way, the suffering that he has endured, the things that he has done, have contributed to his arrival in heaven. Jesus' atonement got him most of the way there, right? Took away his original sin, making it possible to wash it away in baptism, etc. Making the Mass possible, the Eucharist, and other like the Rosary, etc. So Jesus has taken somebody most of the way. And then in purgatory, they have to get the rest of the way because they have these few niggling things. And the picture of purgatory is that God is bringing these charges of venial sin against the believer, right? They go to purgatory, they burn them off, they get to heaven. Contrary to that, I would like to suggest that the Scripture would say that for those who are in Jesus, there is actually no sin at all that is on our account, like on our bank statement, If you look at Romans 4, and I invite you to do that, so I'll just give you one verse.
Okay, I really got it.
Sure. Romans 4, 6, and 8. Romans 4, 6, and 8 talks about the blessed person to whom God will not account his sin. It doesn't make a distinction between any kind of sin. And so if you arrive in purgatory, that means that some sin was accounted to you by God. Romans 4 says that the man is blessed who has no sins accounted to him at all. So it would be a totally different picture. So I'd like to ask you to think about it. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck on your project.
If you guys are out here again, like maybe tomorrow, I would love to talk with you more.
Okay.
I just really
Sure, I understand. We might be out on Thursdays regularly. Okay, watch out. Thanks a lot.